Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to tell you a 2006 movie called Pan's Labyrinth. Enjoy watching. The film takes place in 1944 in Spain. To a girl named Ophelia, her mother tells the story of a princess in the underworld who dreamed of entering the human world. One day, she runs away. When she came to the surface, she was blinded by the sun, which erased all memories from her memory. The princess has forgotten who she is, but in the end, she dies. But her father, who is the king, knew that her soul would return one day. At one point, the woman gets sick. She stops her transport, and while she is getting better, Ophelia finds an unusually shaped stone under her feet and decides to explore the forest. The girl finds the totem and notices that there is not enough detail. She puts the stone she found to it, and an insect climbs out, which seems to greet her. The parents pick up the girl and set off again, and they go to Ophelia's father, who is the captain. He meets his wife Carmen, who is pregnant, and his daughter. Based on how Ophelia's father met, it can be understood that he hates her, and she is afraid of him. There, the girl meets an insect that leads her somewhere. She enters the maze, but Mercedes stops her and says that it is better not to go there. You can easily get lost. When they leave, Ophelia informs her that the captain is not her father. Her father is a tailor and he died in the war. After examining the woman, the doctor approaches Mercedes and passes something to her. Ophelia sees it all. At night, the girl's mother tells them that she will surprise her in the morning, and then Ophelia asks her why she married the captain, but she only said that she had been alone for too long and that she was tired of it. A father and son are brought to the captain, who hunted rabbits, but the captain does not believe them and mercilessly kills them. Meanwhile, an insect flies into Ophelia's room and crawls up to her. The girl thinks it's a fairy. She even shows a picture for comparison, and the insect tries to imitate her, and then really takes the form of a fairy and calls the girl to follow her. The fairy leads her back into the maze. There she reaches the center and tries to call someone, and then an unknown creature appears who greets the girl and says that he is glad not to return, and also asks her not to be afraid. Ophelia asks him to introduce himself, and he says that he is the bark, he is the trees, he is the forest, he is a faun, as well as her humble servant. He calls the girl Princess Moana and says that she is the daughter of the king of the underworld. He also says that he needs to make sure that she has not become an ordinary mortal. So before the full moon, she needs to complete 3 tasks and hands her a book of destinies that will show her her future. He tells her that she has a mark on her left shoulder that proves that she is a princess. When the girl opens the book, it is empty, and the faun leaves. In the morning, Ophelia goes to take a bath, and there she opens the book of destinies, on which images and text appear. And when she looks in the mirror, she notices the moon symbol on her shoulder. On the train, the girl walks through the forest and reads the book of destinies. There is a task for her. In order for the oak to bloom again, she needs to find a toad there and stuff pebbles into her cat. Taking off her dress so as not to get dirty, she goes inside the oak tree. There she finds a huge toad and scolds her for destroying a tree. The toad clearly does not like it, and she starts growling at the girl. Then Ophelia, Princess Moana, decides to trick the toad and gives her bugs mixed with stones. The stones turn the toad inside out and kill it. And the girl finds a key among her insides and takes it away. Coming out of the oak, she finds her dress in terrible condition. Meanwhile, the captain greets the guests. The captain discusses his strategic actions. He also said that there was smoke in the middle of the forest, and there was a box containing a lottery ticket and an antibiotic. Mercedes says she will go out for firewood. When she goes outside, she tries to signal someone, but accidentally meets Ophelia. The maid reports to the girl's mother about her return. Ophelia takes a bath and a fairy arrives to her. The girl tells her that she has found the key and asks to take her to the maze. When she gets there, she meets the faun again and tells him about the key. He tells her to leave it because she will need it soon. He also gives her a piece of chalk. When she asks why she should believe him, he replies that he has no reason to deceive her. In the morning, Ophelia goes to the bathroom and takes a book with her. She asks me to show her what is happening now. The book is covered with red paint, as if with blood. The girl closes it and hears that her mother is ill. She goes out to her and sees that she is bleeding. Ophelia calls the captain for help. Later, The doctor informs that his wife needs continuous rest, and the girl should sleep elsewhere for now. The captain orders her to be cured at any cost and by any means. Ophelia was moved to another room, which only upset the girl. Mercedes tries to calm her down, and then she asks the woman if she helps people in the forest. Mercedes asks not to tell anyone about this. When the girl fell asleep, Mercedes and the doctor go into the forest, taking something with them. There they meet the woman's brother. At night, a fawn comes to Ophelia's room and informs her that she has not completed the task. The girl says it's because her mom got sick. Then the fawn gives her the root of mandragora, a plant that dreamed of becoming a human. He says to put it under her mother's bed in a bowl with fresh milk, and also every morning you need to give him 2 drops of fresh blood. Then he gives her helpers for the next task, and also informs her that in the place where she will go, you can never eat anything. Her life depends on it. Meanwhile, Mercedes feeds the people from the forest, and the healer examines them. One of them has a rotted leg, and the doctor reports that it is impossible to save it. He takes a saw and gets rid of it. Ophelia picks up the Book of Fates again and sees the next task there. Namely, with the help of chalk, she needs to draw a door anywhere in the room, and as soon as the doors open, she needs to install an hourglass, and then the fairies will guide her. Before the last grain of sand falls, she needs to go back. In this place, she finds a strange creature. Creepy images are hung around, and in the corner there is a mountain of children's shoes. The girl approaches the cells and tries to find which lock her key fits. Opening it, she takes out a dagger. There is a lot of delicious food on the table. The girl wants to eat something, but when the fairies dissuaded her, she drives them away. When she has eaten a grape, the creature wakes up. It inserts its eyes into its hands and heads towards Ophelia. The fairies try to protect the girl, but the creature catches them and bites off their heads. Ophelia runs to the exit, but there is only a little time left. She doesn't have time and the door closes. Then the girl takes a chalk and tries to draw the door again. She manages to do it, and at the last moment she escapes. The next morning, my brother comes up to Mercedes and tells her to go back. She gives him the key and tells him not to go there yet, because that's all the captain is waiting for. Meanwhile, Ophelia comes to her mother's room and does what the fawn ordered. After putting the root in fresh milk, it begins to move and make sounds like a baby. She hides him under the bed and gives him 2 drops of her blood. While the girl is under the bed, the doctor and the captain enter the room. The doctor reports that his wife is already much better. The temperature has decreased noticeably. Then the captain says that if there is a choice, then the child will need to save his life, since he will bear his father's name. Everyone runs out into the street, as explosions have started all around. And the girl lies down on her mother's stomach and tells her brother not to hurt his mother when he is born. If he fulfills her request, she will take him to her kingdom and make him a prince. There is a shootout. The captain and his team are killing people from the forest, but one of them will remain alive, and he is taken to the warehouse for interrogation. Mercedes is told about what happened. She is alarmed and goes to check who was brought. Fortunately, it's not her brother, but one of his partners. The captain plans to interrogate and torture him. Cruel and ruthless. The fawn comes back to the girl's room. She tells him about what happened during the mission and about the dead fairies. Fawn is very angry with her because she disobeyed him and broke the rule by eating food from that table. Because of this, she did not complete the task, and now she will not be able to return to her underground kingdom. 3 days later, the full moon and her soul will now forever remain among people. Early in the morning, the captain will see a doctor and asks for help. He leads him to the mutilated finished one, and he leaves for a while, unnoticeably taking an ampoule from the doctor's first aid kit. He compares it with the one he found in the forest and guesses about his betrayal. The prisoner asks the doctor to kill him. Then he takes a syringe and thrusts it with shaking hands. Meanwhile, Ophelia enters her mom's room and climbs under the bed to check the condition of the mandragora root. She notices that he is no longer moving, but at that moment, the captain pulls the girl out from under the bed and starts yelling at her. And then he checks what's under his wife's bed. He finds a root there and asks what it is, taking the root out of the plate. At this moment, Ophelia's mother wakes up and asks the man to calm down and give back what he took. The girl says that this is a magic root that a fawn gave her. Then her mother breaks and burns this root, and says that miracles do not exist, and the world is very cruel. The root begins to move and scream, and the woman suddenly becomes ill. The captain is angry that the doctor disobeyed him and killed the prisoner. When he leaves, the captain shoots him in the back and kills him. Labor begins, but unfortunately, the woman could not be saved. Only the child survived. Ophelia is packing her things and planning to leave the house. The captain tells Mercedes that there is a traitor among them and asks if she knows anything about it. The woman is in shock. He asks her to go to the warehouse and bring more alcohol to him. And then he says that he is haunted by one detail. When the opponents broke into the warehouse with explosives, the lock was not touched. And then he gives Mercedes the key and tells her to be careful. On the way to the warehouse, Mercedes takes out the letters and goes to Ophelia's room to say goodbye to her, but the girl begs to take her with her. They're on their way, but the captain meets them in the forest. He beats up the girl and asks how long she knew about everything. Having tied up Mercedes, he is going to torture her. While he is preparing the gun, the woman cuts the ropes and then cuts the captain, but not to death. She runs away from the warehouse, and the captain, coming out after her, orders his troops to catch up with her. In the forest, they catch up with her and surround her. Then she puts the knife to her throat, and someone unknown starts shooting at the captain's troops. It was Mercedes' brother and his partners. The fairy arrives to Ophelia again, and the faun comes. He says he's decided to give her one last chance. In her joy, she hugs him. He tells her to take her brother and bring him to the maze as soon as possible. And if the door is locked, then she can create her own. While the captain is washing himself, and then he personally stitches up his mouth, which Mercedes cut. At this time, Ophelia enters her brother's room and hides under the table, leaving the chalk in a prominent place. The captain enters the room, drinks alcohol, and notices chalk on his desk. He breaks it and loads the gun. One of the captain's friends came back, but he was badly injured. The captain is leaving. Taking advantage of the moment, Ophelia mixes poison into the captain's alcohol. She picks up her brother, but when the captain returns, they hide. The captain drinks a glass of alcohol. Noticing Ophelia, he wants to take his son away, but he is already gradually getting worse. The girl runs away into the maze. When she reaches his center, she approaches the faun, and he tells her to give her brother to him. She asks what he has in his hands. Holding the dagger, the faun replies that the gate will open only if they spill the blood of an innocent, just one drop. But Ophelia doesn't want to give it away. Faun starts yelling at her, but the girl replies that she is ready to give up everything for her brother. Then the captain comes running and watches what is happening, but he doesn't see the faun. The faun disappears, and the captain approaches Ophelia, takes his child, and shoots the girl. Mercedes and her companions are waiting for the captain at the exit of the maze. The captain gives the woman his child and dies. Mercedes finds Ophelia in the maze, but it's too late. She's dead, and her blood drips on the gates to the underworld. Then Ophelia wakes up in the underworld, and the princess is met by her father. It turns out that the last task was for Ophelia to shed not the baby's blood, but her own, and she coped with it. Also in this kingdom, she is met by her mother, fairies, and faun. They are proud of her and ask her to sit next to her father. But in the real world, Ophelia is still dead, because it was not exactly her who returned to the underworld, but Princess Moana. The end.